Hey, what's going on? This is Maui Voti with Financially Present, your one-stop shop for financial and investment education. And in this video, it's part of a series where I'm taking you on a trip to Ghana with me. But specifically in this video, we are talking about how to use your money in Ghana, whether it's converting or exchanging your money, spending it, the different ways. So I have 5 crucial tips that you can use when you're traveling to Ghana. A little backstory or history. Ghana's independence is as of 1957 when they gained independence from the British. And since then, the currency has gone through many changes. And this bout with the currency and inflation would be the 3rd instance of them changing the currency. So in 2007 was the most recent time where they essentially reset their money to reduce the amount of inflation that affected it. But inflation continues to be an issue. All right, so in Ghana, they use the Cedi, while here in the US, we use the dollar. Okay, so 1 Ghana Cedi in 2007 used to be worth $1 US. But as we progress through time and things are affected by inflation and more money is created, things can get out of whack. So when I last visited in 2014, 1 Ghana Cedi should have been $1 US, but with inflation, it was 3.4 cedis would equal $1 US. Okay, so it was starting to creep up. Fast forward to now, here in 2023, when we visited, 11.5 cedis equal $1. So you can see how inflation can continue to erode over time, or essentially, the higher the cedi is, the weaker it is against the dollar or other currencies. So that means when you're exchanging your money in Ghana, you may be carrying a lot of bills. I mean, when we exchange money, we're talking about wads of cash this thick, and that can be a little bit unwieldy, a little hard to convert, or so you find yourself doing math constantly. But just for some context, if you were to buy something like a Fan Ice frozen yogurt off the street, that would be about 3.5 cedis. If you convert it to US dollars, we're talking about 30 cents. That's something that's very common. You'll see sold all over, and just a nice lighthearted snack that you can have, right? But then you can also go to a nice sit-down restaurant and pay 65 cedis for a meal of, let's say, some jollof rice and some chicken, and probably grab a beverage, and that might cost 80 cedis, or let's say 65 cedis. And that's a little bit under $6 US, okay? So you're gonna find yourself doing a lot of conversion. And for me, I figured out, hey, am I gonna convert it in my mind to dollars, or am I going to convert my mind from dollars to cedis? So I'll give you 2 ways. Since $1 equals 11.5 cedis, you can always just look at a dollar value of cedis and just move the decimal point to the left, basically. So if you saw something that said 300 cedis, that meant that it was just under $30. And if you do the exact math, it's about $26. So something as simple as that is one way that can help. Or you can use it where 1 cedi equals a little bit over 8 cents, okay? And doing the math, whichever way works for you, is what's gonna make it easier to just navigate. So tip number 1 for just handling money in Ghana: before you leave, bring big bills, okay? And what I mean by that is, go to your bank. If you know you're gonna be spending at least about $1,000, bring $1,000 in cash with you. But make sure that you request from your bank that they are all $100 bills. And not just any, but the brand new $100 bills. And why is that? Well, you gotta think, when companies, or not companies, but countries, when they're exchanging money from you, they're essentially buying your US dollars, and they will give you cedis here in Ghana. So what you need to be mindful of is they want the most current version of that money. And you'll find that newer, bigger bills are worth more than older, smaller bills. So we had a situation where when I exchanged money, when I used my $100 bill and exchanged it for Cedis, I got 1,150 Cedis. But my buddy that was with me had 5 $20 bills. And the person who was doing the exchange said, hey, well, unfortunately, the $20 bills aren't worth as much. So they only got 1,100 Cedis. Okay, so it's the difference of about almost $5 just by bringing old bills. Tip number 2, I just want you to make sure that you convert your money in doses, okay? As you know, currency is constantly changing. This is a market that never closes. This is why crypto can be kind of crazy too, but currency values fluctuate constantly around the clock, whether you're awake or asleep. And if you were to convert all of the money that you're planning to spend, one, you could be overpaying in fees, but then 2, you may not actually spend all of it. So then you might find yourself needing to pay to convert it into Cedis and then probably having to pay again to convert it back to dollars. And what that looks like is you'll receive less when you convert that money. So basically, if you convert in doses, you could help disperse the fees that you would pay, because let's say, for example, when I got to the airport, I knew I'd want some money to hand out for tips and things like that. So I only converted $100 there. The fee at the airport for that amount of money was about $5. But when I converted my money at the place that my driver recommended, then I got that $5 back essentially in a better conversion rate, basically. So what I'm saying is, when I exchanged $100 at the airport, I got 1,100 Cedis. But when I converted it at the place that my driver brought me to, I got 1,150 Cedis, okay? So again, if I converted it all at the airport, I would have overpaid. But if you do it in doses, you are subject to some market risk where things are fluctuating after you bought, but that's part of it. The idea is that you don't want to spend too much in fees up front, and you'd rather not have to convert your cash back and forth again. Tip number 3, don't carry it all with you. Okay, so even here in the US, you will rarely find me with more than $20 cash on me. Likewise for traveling out of the country. I just don't like carrying a lot of cash. It's unwieldy, it's just too much to manage. I carry a very minimalistic wallet anyway, so it's not convenient. So if you are converting cash to a different currency, odds are you may have much more cash than you're used to walking around with. If I were to convert 1,000 US dollars into Ghana Cedis, I would have 11,500 Cedis. And that amount of cash would be about this thick. You can't comfortably carry it around without it either needing to be in a separate bag or something. So for me, where we stayed was very safe. Gated community with a security guard, and then our Airbnb itself within those confines of the gates had a door with a lock, and then after you unlock that, you got into the building, and then into the building, the access to your deck, and then access to the apartment, and then you had a lock for your room and a lock for your wardrobe. So at the end of the day, I felt more comfortable leaving some of it at the place versus carrying it all on my person. So don't carry it all at once. Tip number 4, use your card when you can. Again, I said I don't like to carry a lot of cash anyway, but what we did beforehand was call our credit union, and I asked them, hey, what was the fee? And it actually is the same as it was back when we came in 2014. It was 1%, a foreign transaction fee. So I can take my usual debit or credit card, swipe it at, let's say, a restaurant or some business in Ghana, and I would only pay 1% fee. And depending on what you're doing, whether it's at a grocery store or a mall or boutique that has a credit card machine, that 1% fee is cheaper than if you were to exchange a whole bunch of cash. So at times, using card is more convenient. And the last tip, number 5, use electronic transfer methods. One of the ones we used was called SendWave. And with this transfer method, as long as you have someone's cell phone number, you're able to send them cash for free, so there was no transaction fee for that. And then it also converts the money to you or for you. So it'll tell you immediately what the current conversion rate is, and it'll tell you in cities and it'll tell you in dollars what you're actually paying. So you don't have to do any of the math for you, and you can technically carry that app around and just use it as a calculator anyway. So it's a very convenient way to do it, and there are multiple apps. I've even heard of Momo as being one of them, but it's just like how we would use Cash App or Zelle or any of these other type of transfer methods, and there was no fee involved. Look, there are so many things I still have to discuss about this trip to Ghana, so stay tuned for some more videos. If you like this one, I want you to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the page, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on future content. And until next time, stay present.